All right, Shabbat Shalom. This is your brother coming to you again, bringing out this gospel that's true, edified. Hopefully, that could be Asherah Israel, so-called Black Americans and Latinos, the 1 2/3 of our people of the impending judgment that the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is going to bring upon Great Babylon America. And it's always a pleasure to let Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, know the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is going to destroy your kingdom and set up a righteous one because of all the atrocities that you've committed on his chosen people, which is the so-called Blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos. Before we get started, I'd like to give all the honor to Yahweh, by Shem, Yahweh Shai, by Shem, Kadash, the blondness that teaches others in the cause of great millstone, likewise, brothers, but on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly, feeding the sheep and brothers and sisters to the end, Shalom. And clearly today I'm indoors. Try as I may out there, technical difficulties and high wind, and just things didn't go quite the way it should go, and you just have to adjust. So here I am inside a segment of my office, home office, and we're gonna go into this nonetheless. Okay, let's take a quick 30 seconds and let's talk about some things that's going on. You have Trump trying to basically whitewash or push under the rug, okay, the history of Great Babylon America in concerning, the atrocities that were committed, okay, against the children of Israel, or so-called Black Americans and Latinos here, and he envisioned a Smithsonian museum, or these museum, to just show how great the so-called white man is, okay, but not show just how really truly wicked he really is, okay. What else? You have lots of natural or now it's not natural disasters. No such thing as natural disasters. It's just judgments that the Lord is bringing upon this earth. The Lord Yahweh Shemashah is visiting this earth. And that's why you see a lot of death tolls, floodings, accidents, plane crashes, and, these weather anomalies that is wreaking havoc. Okay. This is that birth pang that's going on right now. And you have a lot of people that don't believe. A lot of people really, truly cannot comprehend the fact that this so-called white man don't give 2 fucks about your ass, and he's planning on coming and killing you, pursuing the Genesis 27:21, as Esau promised what he's going to do to the brother Jacob, okay, who is the 12 tribe of Israel. Let's go down first scripture here. This is the book of Jeremiah 5, and starting with verse 20, it says, "Declare this in the house of Jacob, and publish it in Judah, saying, Hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, you don't see what's taking place." Come on, man. How many Jakes have to be roughed up? And when I say Jakes, I'm not talking about just a so-called Negro, okay? I'm talking about the Latinos, the Hispanics, okay, even the Negroes, of course, too, Native Americans, and even the speckled bird that's probably being grabbed up right now, okay, by these centuries. You have this psychopath, okay, dictator, cruel Lord, okay, Caesar Nero Trump, okay, who is right now calling up the national guards and sending to 19 different states. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to continue to follow up on that, to see what state that he's going to go into. But we know, okay, they're already in the red states. And, they're going into cities that are populated by so-called minorities, which were not the minorities, okay? We're the majority, okay? So right now, they're, have these makeshift detention camps. So like I was bringing out here in El Paso, you have the largest detention camp already constructed, and, in reality, you can go and get a job there. They're looking for detention officers and healthcare workers and all kinds of people to go and work at these detention camps. So that's going to be a whole new type of employment that's going to be going out there. You have a lot of people applying to those, what do you call it, the ICE jobs, okay, where they said they had like 100,000 applicants in 1 month, okay. Obviously, if they do their due diligence, which is, you have to do a background check, they have to pass a NACI, okay, investigation, which is a national agency check investigation where they run your credit, they look at your criminal record, if you have any, DUI, any type of like violations out there. And whether you're trustworthy to hold a security clearance. I think at this stage right now, they're probably going to bypass, okay, all of the usual steps that they take and just start bringing in people on general. And most of the people that are applying for those jobs, okay, to work for ICE, they're not doing it really because, they're dedicated to, helping America or anything like that. They're doing it because they're desperate and they're losers and they have no other choice. Okay. They get degrees. In fact, they're not even asking for people for degrees anymore. Okay. And they're looking at the bonus to try to see if they can get themselves out of debt, and it's just an easy way to go. And they're not understanding, like, if you really believe that, Jason is just going to sit back and just allow himself to be manhandled constantly, that you're wrong. That there is going to be some serious uh, violence that's going to be taking place here. Okay, because not all Jakes are going to be in compliance. They're not, and especially when they start touching, Edomite looking Jakes. Okay, continue on. It says, "Which have eyes and see not, which have ear and hear not." You're not hearing the warning that's coming from us because we don't exhibit, um, the kind of public value that Jakes have come to respect, which is, you have to be, in the limelight. Everybody has to worship the ground you walk on. You have to have a what is a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame out there in Beverly Hills. You have to be on these talk shows. You constantly have to be, push into the minds of people that you're something. Okay, that you're somebody. Okay, and Jake likes vanity, man. Jake's like vanity. The women, they like the popular guy. Okay. The women even like the popular guy even in this ministry. You're a guy with a lot of subscribers and likes, you're gonna be popular among the women who follow the man of the Lord in this ministry. Okay. That's maybe a natural thing. And even guys are the same way too. They like to cuddle up next to popular guys or whatever cases like that. And so how much more so out there in the world when you have these uh Jakes out there who writes my paycheck, who can give me the big prize, who can make me go from poverty uh to richness, the so-called white man. So the voice of men that consider the scriptures describe us as nobody, low, you know, the base of man that is basically, these scholars that, they get their ass handed to them because they don't know anything, man. They go to them seminary school as, the elder brother, something like to call it, and the breakdown is incorrect. It's all about, Christianity view of how things are going to be. The sweet loving white man with long hair and blue eyes, he's gonna come and save everybody from some dude who's red with a tail on the ground in the afterlife. I mean, the stupidity of it, man. It says, "Fear ye not me," said the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai. Our people don't fear the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai. It's clear, it's obvious. It's clear and it's obvious. Now, here we are, as brothers and sisters, okay, in the truth, we understand that today is what the Shabbat. Okay, so we're not working out, which is what normally some of us do. You might have another hobby that you do on Saturday in particular. Of course, you would support the brothers some, who are doing a live on Saturday. So or you prepping up for your account on Sunday. You definitely gonna refrain from having intercourse and other things. Okay, you might even fast today. But these people out there, as usual, when I was out there trying to set up earlier, and I tried at multiple locations, and it just wasn't panning out. I just couldn't get a break today, and that's okay. Normally I do camp on Saturdays, but people are going about their merry old business, merry old business. Now, it's safe to say that there are certain people who are driving, they're lost in the sauce. They kind of just like how we were, and I can speak for myself personally. Something is up, something is wrong. It's just that you feel right, but then you just haven't been given that answer. You haven't been awoken. Okay, you haven't come across a ministry where you would be a believer, where you would not be one of these people that hear but don't listen. Let's see. but don't really take it in as this is what really is happening. Okay, because you know, again, they're looking at who is delivering the message. Okay, it says, "Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by perpetual decree that it cannot pass it, and though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail, though they roar, yet can they not pass away." So Esau, while he will bring about a certain level of his AI technology, maybe the robots, you got brothers putting up videos concerning the this man has not only polluted the the earth, but they're getting ready right now to they're destroying the habitats. You're seeing mutated bunny rabbits, uh, mutated deer, and mutated squirrels. Now, we're not supposed to eat bunny rabbits and squirrels. We can't eat deer, okay? But there are other tribes are there, especially the Edomites, the poor Edomites, if they were to go off the grid, and they know a lot of people are going to go off the grid when they try to implement these 15-minute cities and they try to, call the people because again, now we bought the videos out and I bought it out and worked. Look at how when you want to implement or make laws and changes, you start off with you use people that the world consider to be nothing, and those people are us. Okay, we're the lowest, especially the so-called black man. Okay, in this day and time. Okay, life is not worth anything. So you use them, okay, and now they're using the Northern Kingdom tribe, man. You seen, you know, you seen the videos, okay, and they use that to condition the masses, okay, that they mean business, that they're going to kick your door down, they're going to grab you in your car, they're going to throw you in these concentration camps. So yes, that's what they are, concentration camps. Okay, these are not detaining cells or stuff like that. Some of these people don't look, they're not looking to get a lawyer. They just want to like, okay, send me back to my country tomorrow. But they're not doing that. That's not the intention. They're going to be doing a whole lot of horrible things like harvesting organs of children, healthy detainees, what they call it, what they calling us. Okay. And I say us because let me put it to you this way. There's not one man in this ministry, okay, who's guaranteed to get on the chariot. Not one. We said a hopefully elect. Okay. And at any given time, the Mashiach can pull his spirit out of you and he can fry your ass. Doesn't matter how hot you are or how much knowledge you know, whatever the case is like that. So bottom line is okay, I will when I say we, because at any given time they can grab any one of us off the street corner, okay, preaching or doing a lesson live, and grab you, and next thing you know, you're in a room with a bunch of sickly people right there, and your tribulation is about to take a whole new turn, okay? But our people they don't fear the Lord Yahweh Shemaiah, they don't listen. They don't understand the depth or the gravity of what's taking place. Okay, these people are desperate. They're very, very desperate. They can't really tell you exactly why they're doing certain things, the true, you know, what's really behind it. They can't tell you. So they have to come up with a way and make it all nice and pretty as if they're involving you, okay, in making America great again, but they're not making America great again for the purpose, okay, of Jake, having sustainability in this nation. Okay, let's go into Ecclesiasticus 14. I want to go into Ecclesiasticus 14. Um, and starting with verse 4. And it reads, "He that gathereth by the fraud in his own soul gathereth for others that shall spend his goods righteously. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his good. There's none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness." We thought, hey, Esau, I mean, you look at there's a street in Philadelphia, I forgot what they call it. And I've used clips of it many times in the videos that I do. uh, concerning these crackheads. They're not even crackheads. I mean, crackheads, they're fentanyl users and zombie drugs that they take and all kinds of stuff. A lot of these are Edomites. You have a lot of Edomites living out of their vehicles, a lot of them living out of those, Winnebagos, you know, and I saw it when I was out there, living out there in San Jose, in the San Jose area, up in, well, Mountain View, I should say, area. They were all Edomites living in those Winnebagos on the side of the road. And those Winnebagos, they break down real quick. I mean, they're paper thin, they're worthless. The big, supposed to be mobile home, but the engine is like, have the same power as like a Prius. Okay. So they break down real quick. And most people, they don't, those people who tend to live in those things, they don't have the resources to fix it. Even a flat tire or the engine need oil change or anything like that. And of course you have to carry insurance. And so even if you live homeless in a car, you still will require a couple of $100 in order to be able to drive on the streets and even sustain yourself, with cell phone and all the other different stuff with that. So pretty much, most people they get to that level. By the time they get to that level, usually they have struggled considerably to try to get a job or try to maintain their life. And a lot of people don't know how to downsize uh, their life leading up to that. Like, hey, do you really need this or you really need that? They really they think they really have to have a flashy roof over their head, and if things have changed, then maybe you should downsize. So, but this man has done nothing. Okay, so he's evil to himself. So how much more so you think it's going to be? We're going to sit down thinking to ourselves that Esau is going to hand anything out to you. So when you look at this, it says, and if he do it good, he do it unwillingly, and the last he declare his wickedness. So that good that Esau is going to do for everybody when the time comes is going to be when he's going to offer that MOTB or the mark of the beast. So by that stage, you are going to have a society that's collapsed into oblivion because you're going to have those who have and those who don't have. You're going to have the people that was somebody, now they're nobody, but they're not drug addicts. So they're not going to drown their sorrows in drugs or anything like that. So they're going to be sober as they suffer. You're going to suffer in sobriety. Okay. And that's going to be worse. Okay. Because you can have all your mental capacity, but now you're looking around and go, damn, I had a roof on my head. People who've never ever in their life lived, outside or anything like that. You got a lot of people who've never even done even a weekend camping. Okay. You have health issues. Uh, you get people that can't even go to the doggone bathroom by themselves. They constantly have to have somebody around them. And when you fall out here in Babylon, America, a lot of time you are on your own. You are on your own. People will tell you, everybody will give you a helping hand when you don't need it. But when you need it, it's not going to be there. You'll be shocked at how people change their phone number or you know, they avoid you just because they see you going down the road that they really don't want to be a part of. Okay. And that's gonna create a lot of animosity and a lot of people who you know will not be able to hold that in their head. Okay, they're gonna be flipping out, and we've seen videos of a lot of Edomites in particular, and even Jakes. I mean, they're wax, man. I put up a video the other day concerning a Jake who had his house auction, paid it off. And they for $5,000 they auctioned this house, which was almost nearly $1 million. Was like a triplex, where he lived on the top floor and ran at the bottom floor. And then to him, he thought basically, he was set for life. Okay. He was set for life, but it's not gonna turn out that way. Okay. For him. So Esau will declare his wickedness every single time that he tries to work with Jake. And if Jake continuously try to, follow the steps and the ways of Esau, it's always going to end up bad. Let's go to Isaiah 13 and let's start with verse 6 here. And let's talk about the fact that the Lord Yahweh Shemashai is going to destroy Great Babylon, America. I mean, we see a lot of things going on in the news, and you depends on what platform you click on. MSN, they go a little bit more into a lot of the death tolls and as far as people getting accidents, gunshot, all that stuff like that, which we know we're going about like that, and major news obviously is still the same. Putin and Trump going to talk. They're going to try to have peace out there in Ukraine, which is not going to happen. You have the Middle East issues going on there where you have Israel looking to go to Gaza. There's a lot of starvation and people catching hell out there. You have what's taking place here in Great Babylon, America, which is, in itself is a war against the children of Israel. Okay, so you have the preeminent nation, Great Babylon, America, right now. People are experiencing chaos, homelessness, insecurities, all kinds of stuff. So how much more so the rest of these other nations out there, okay, that rely especially on the people here indulging constantly, pleasing the flesh. Okay, when what happens when that there's an inability to do that. Okay, and so we're in troubled times right now. So this is Isaiah 13, 7, 6 says, "How ye for the day of the Lord Yahweh Shemar Shai is at hand; it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty." It's coming as a destruction from the Almighty. Now, you you know, I know people are sick and tired of us coming up with the same scriptures, but we're in that time right now where it's the middle scriptures, it's the ones where Ezra's, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Job. You go into Ecclesiasticus, which is going to give you a warning about a whole lot of things, especially Esau, not to not trust an enemy. But we're in a time right now where the judgments are now starting to take place. So yes, there's going to be particular scriptures you're going to go into. Okay. And yeah, brother's still going into history, but there's scriptures you're going to go into based on the headlines that you're dealing with. Okay. Based on the headlines that you're dealing with. We're dealing with a set of people who've always looked at us being downtrodden and down and out, and it was okay for them. Now they find themselves in that situation. And they're screaming just as loud as we did with the marches and everything. But I don't think, but the scripture says that they're not going to take it the way we did. They're not going to march. These Edomites are not going to march. There is a clear division here in Great Babylon, America, and you Hebrews, like you Jakes, you so-called blacks and Americans, Latinos, you need to understand that Bob is not your friend. Billy is not your friend. Your so-called white co-workers that might smile or might share lunch with you, might even drink after you, you might drink something and they say, "Oh, I'll take some of that," and they drink the rest of it and drink your spit. They're just nasty. They're not your friend. Okay? And brothers who've lived long enough and been around, a diverse amount of people work in a lot of different organizations and work at different levels of life. You've seen it, man. You've experienced it. You've experienced it. You gonna make Esau a couple $1 million on a project or whatever case like that, man. You get a plaque and they do all kinds of stuff for your ass, okay? They do all kinds of stuff. They pat you and they look at you and you can feel like, oh wow, they admire me. No, they don't. Next minute like that, you sit down in the front of the doggone the CEO or the friggin' doggone head of HR or the head or the partners, and you're dismissed. We don't require you. We're cutting down costs, so you're a cost, and even though you're a high performer, right? Come on. So you've seen it, you know. You've seen it. You experience it, and so you don't believe nothing that's coming out of it like that. Okay, when you believe in anything here in America, your mind is now in a trap. You're a prisoner, man. Okay, you're a prisoner mentally. Not you haven't even come to the fact that you're a prisoner physically here in Great Babylon, America. Okay, and I'll bring that scripture out, which talks about the fact that the children of Israel and Judah were oppressed together, and their oppressor refused to let them go, roughly paraphrasing, okay? But this Isaiah 13, 7, 6, it said, how ye for the day of the Lord Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's hands shall melt. Now you say, well, what about the lack or the well? First of all, there's hopefully lack. We can't call ourselves the elect. There is not one man in this ministry that can say that he or she is he is the elect, or woman, man or woman can say that they're elect. We're hopefully elect. Okay, why is every man hand okay going to be faint and every man hand shall melt? You're in this physical flesh. Okay, you're in this physical flesh. We're defenseless. We are absolutely defenseless. Okay, now as obedient servants, we are told to wait for the Mashiach to take vengeance. But he said, vengeance is mine. Okay, the Mashiach is going to get the glory. Our King is going to get the glory. Our Lord is going to get the glory. Our Savior is going to get the glory, not us. That's why he didn't put the power. The power is not put into our hands to go fight Esau and say, see, we can beat you, man. The Mashiach is going to get the glory. So we have to wait. Now, none of us in this life has ever seen a Mashiach. Okay. So in faith, we have to, no matter what is taking place, we have to wait. So yeah, you can feel a little something. You can feel a little somewhere like, I'm waiting for some invisible guy to save me or someone I've never seen. And this is something that a lot of people they're not going to pass that test. And Lord willing, I pass the test, that I don't resort to like, gee, I got like 22 years experience in the military or whatever cases like that. Or gee, I know how to use this and that. Okay. Or other, brothers who, have other skills. And it isn't to say you can't defend yourself, but you know what I'm saying. You're not gonna get in a group of guys and go, gee, you know what? Let's go take on Esau to the dad. Okay? Because seeing a Mashiach crack open that cloud, the sky, and coming, jack Esau's ass up. That's going to be a beautiful thing. The fear of Esau when they realize that that glowing light in the night sky is in a matter of chariots of the Lord coming to kick their ass. We want to see that. Lord willing, we live to see that battle, man. Okay, so you hope the Lord Yahweh Shai guides you in a way that you don't do nothing stupid that's going to cause you not to see that. The glorious coming of our Hamashiach. It says, and they should be afraid, pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed at one another. Their faces should be as flames. And that's going to be everybody, man. All right? That's going to be everybody. The Lord is going to put a spirit of Esau that's going to be so horrific. Right now, they're just grabbing. We're going to go into that. They're just grabbing jakes and just pepper spraying and gently nudging you inside these vans. Wait till they just start doing open fire. And they just start killing jakes indiscriminately. And it talks, we can look at that because it talks about 1,000 should fall on this side of the top, 10,000 on that side, but none should come nigh thee. You still gonna be smelling those dead bodies. You still can see some things that you've never seen. I mean, you're living in the people in like countries like in those African nations or in the Middle Eastern countries where they see, the dismembered bodies constantly. They see bodies burned, chopped up into pieces, blown up, all kinds of stuff. That's not news to them. They live and see that. Over here, we don't see that, man. By all accounts, Americans are soft. We are soft. By all accounts, we're soft. So the first time you see a baby blown to pieces or people dismembered and you see a pile of dead bodies just piled up, stinking of rotten animals are fighting each other over scraps of dead carcasses is going to be something that is going to be a mental thing, man, in your head. Not to mention the fact that there's going to be a short supply of food, water, all kinds of things, man. You know, so there's a lot of things that's going to be. It's not only going to be the violence, but it's going to be just the environment itself is going to be on this be so different. Okay, you're going to have people that are going to just kill for the sport of it. Others are going to be killed because they just feel threatened. You might, when we tell you, Jace, like, don't go run up, don't trust Esau them because Esau them are Esau them are preppers, and you're gonna have them prepping them the most and all that stuff. And sometimes they might lure you in under the guise of wanting to give you food or something like that, and your gullible ass is gonna go in there in that house or wherever they have, and they're gonna come in. Oh, come on, guy, come on, we got food, lots of food and all that stuff. Okay, with the intention of eating. You remember in the book of Eli, Denzel Washington character, he went to that Edomite couple, and they said we got lots of meat and all that stuff. Well, man, he's looking around and going, I don't see no cow, nothing like that. And they serve a generous amount of meat. Well, wait a minute. All the cows are dead, and all the animals that's really edible are dead, except all you have is like vultures all over the damn place, picking on friggin' bones. But these people in this raggedy old house happen to have a shitload of damn meat. Yeah, they was gonna feed him. The other people that they ate, and then afterward they was gonna kill his ass and friggin' eat him and feed him to somebody else. No, it says, behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashim shall cometh, cruel both with winter and fierce anger to lay the land desolate. He shall destroy the sinners out of it. He's going to destroy them. First of all, he's going to destroy them doggone phony kites over there, them Amalekites over there in Israel, the state of Israel. Yeah. And the Lord is going to destroy all of that land. Do you know that they have the biggest, they're like the Mecca of sodomy? They have the biggest gay or faggot parade on earth is in Tel Aviv or in Tel Aviv. Yeah. Okay. You have like pilgrimage of faggots going over there annually. So the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai has put the spirit on these people to host the biggest fag parade over there and put the spirit in people to jump on plane and go over there. And yes, so you Jakes don't realize those are not the true biblical Hebrew Israelites. So we are. We are. Those people aren't in captivity. It says, and I will punish Salakia. Let's jump to verse 11, actually. Let's go. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. They're looking for this new world order and at what cost and what price. Everybody. Bill Gates is buying up land, and who's it, the elder brother, Yashua, but he goes into a lot of stuff, and obviously he does a very good job at it, and how he explained it. So, not to be a parrot and repeat, but we all see these. We're subscribed to these alternative news media, that shows it. What's it called? People's Voice News and Tyranny News is what where you can go find a lot of these things, and they have some unique news articles, perspective views on what's really taking place and things that like, wow, that's interesting there. But Bill Gates, he's against natural eating natural food. Basically, he doesn't want you to eat, the animals that the Lord Yahweh deemed righteous for us, or good for us to eat, you know. So he wants to replace it with bioengineered animals, feces. He wants you to eat feces as uh, bioengineered plants. So these are very sick people. I think there was the elder brother showed really had an article where it says, when will God put us into it, to this madness? Because you now have robots now that has the ability to I guess, carry children. Okay. So you have this man is like a mad scientist. He constantly wants to challenge the maker, okay, the creator okay, as if he could do better. And this is how Esau is all about. He's proud, he's haughty. Okay, he strives with the maker. So if he's striving with the maker and Esau, them they know more than we do. They got the telescope. They can see into the vast distances. You know, the stars out there. You know, they have the collider that they have out there, and I think in Geneva, Switzerland, or someplace like that out there in Switzerland. You know, they split in atoms, protons, all these things like that. So they get access to some things that we don't see, and they cannot or they will not reveal to the world. So they know the existence of Yahweh Shemel Shai. And yet still they strive in them. They strive in them. Okay. Let's go into second Ezra 16, sounds right 19 for a minute here, because the one thing you can do is ever get comfortable here in Great Babylon, America. You can't get comfortable here in Great Babylon, America. People automatically associate you with poverty or what they call it, destitution, you know, because you stand out there on the highway and byway. And I know a lot of people, you know, out here look at me when I'm out there on the streets, especially that so-called Negroes are very few and far between out here. Not many of us out here in El Paso. But, you know, they probably think you're out there and they probably wouldn't stop because they assume you probably have some type of plate on the ground to collect their money. It's like, huh, if that's how you want to think, that's your business. Okay. But if you do walk up there, what you're going to hear is this gospel. Okay. We're not here for your stuff because sooner or later that's going to come to naught anyways, right? Whether you have a lot or you don't. All right. Second Ezra 16, hours 19 reads, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Anguish, okay, tribulation. The Lord of Yahweh Shemashai, he doesn't have to, he gives you judgment that you can handle, not to kill you, but it's to wake your ass up and go, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Don't do this, don't do that. Okay. Scourges can come in anything. You know, it could be you get sick, injured, uh, you know, other things. But here's people ignore that because the one thing you got to understand with Esau, man, is like they constantly have, they like to put the answers out there for everybody. You know, they sugarcoat everything. Just got it right now, they're sugarcoating what took place, you know, during slavery and what took place post-slavery and what's taking place right now today. So the fact that they're sugarcoating now, but yes, at the same time, we're looking at them, particularly going after Jakes in these raids right now. And even their own people are coming and saying 70% of the people that they're grabbing up have no criminal record. And they were going under the guise of, we're going to go grab up the criminals off the street. But that number would be too little when you're going after Jakes, because Jakes is a minority, right? So if you really want to go after criminals and get a whole lot of criminals, you would need to go after the Edomites. That's where you will find a majority of your criminals are Edomites. So the majority of your criminals are Edomites. They're the majority according to Esau, right? It says, behold, victuals should be so good cheap upon earth that they should think themselves to be in good case, and even then should evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Why is there such great confusion? You can go, let's start off at on a global level. Okay. You have them trying to, they're funding a war and they're funding the Ukrainians against Russia, but at the same time, they want to talk to Russia and say, you stop firing back, stop defending yourself. Okay, you have the state of Israel fighting for land that doesn't belong to them. In fact, they occupy land that does not belong to them. So they're illegal occupants. You have a hypocritical government here in the United States, okay, that has a set of rules that really works for them, but then for everybody else, it doesn't work. Persecution taking place here, but at the same time, you want to praise the so-called Blacks and Native Americans and Latinos for all their contribution, but at the same time, you're prosecuting them. You're talking about lower prices and a good economy. Yes, so your data coming out is saying otherwise. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion. How is this place moving in the right direction, becoming great, when you're seeing more homelessness than you've ever seen? Come on, for you brothers and sisters out there that are, who are at least 5 decades old. Okay, you've lived long enough to see some shit. When was the last? Did you in the 70s? Did you see Edomites on the street like you see right now? No. What about the 80s? No. You didn't even see this so much in the 1990s. And if you see Edomites on drugs and doing poorly, it's because they just either they live in a little hick town and they just want to live like that. Now what you're having is you goody two shoe Edomite, Susie and Becky and them, they're losing it, man. They're losing their mind. Okay, and these people are very emotional. They let the whole world know when they suffer, man. Okay, it says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish with famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And this is happening. See, Jason, they don't look at anything from a global perspective. They don't look at anything from a global perspective. That's the thing that we do. We look at what's happening on the earth, and then we narrow it down to Great Babylon America, okay, and even to a particular incident. And at the root cause of every crap that's taking place on earth, guess who's there? Guess who's the cause of it? You get it. You got it. This so-called white man. He's the root cause of every horrible thing that is taking place on this earth. And this is not for you, you passive aggressive 9 to 5 or whatever the hell you are, low middle class. You Edomites are there that walk amongst us. We're not speaking to you. You don't work the breath that it takes to speak. Okay, we're talking to the kings of the earth. We're talking about the real short callers. Okay, the wicked ones. Okay, the Illuminatis. Those guys. The ones who are running, who's running the show, who controls kings on this earth. The hidden ones. That's what we're talking to. We're not talking to you. We're not talking to you peasants. So you all get all up in y'all damn feelings, and you got these jakes that want to defend you, and they know a nice white boy or they know a nice white girl or whatever case like that. Whoop de fucking doggone do. Lions are nice too, but would you jump in a cage with one? Yeah. All right. So we're not talking to you. You don't scour our videos to go take them down and send us emails saying we don't think your message is appropriate for everyone to see. Yeah, but the elites already seen it. Okay. It says, and the dead should be cast with us dung, and there should be no man to comfort them, for the earth should be wasted, and the cities should be cast down. Those are going to be people destroying the cities themselves, because people are going to be, okay, so what they're getting ready to do right now, okay, we're right in the second Ezra 16 and 70. So we're in second Ezra 16, and here's where we're at right now. So if Trump is putting out the National Guard, okay, in all these different cities, 19 to be exact, which, how many states there is on the continental United States? It's what, 50? Right? Something like 50 or 48. I know you got U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and all the rest of them, and Alaska, Hawaii. But let's say this. Let's say let's round out to 50. Let's say it was 50. If it's 50, right? 19, that's basically almost at 50%. Basically at 40, what, 43, 44%. Okay. And of course, these are red states, that they're going to go into first, and then they're going to go into blue states. All right. So what you create now is a police state. They're using the National Guard. Now, if any of you know anything with the National Guard, they usually have the worst equipments. Okay. Their service members are the worst trained for the most part. A lot of them come from active duty, or what they call big army, but they're they're using the National Guard first because the National Guard service members they cost less than active duty. Let's put it that way. But active duty, you got to do a whole lot of reimbursements and BH and all kinds of stuff. The National Guard, they're going to give a certain amount of money, and put them on Title 10, which for a lot of these National Guard soldiers, it's going to be the most money they're ever going to make. Because most of them that are going to say me and raise their hand in those units don't have a job. A lot of National Guard soldiers, they're unemployed. So this is a big break for them to go there. They're getting their basic housing allowance. They're getting per diem. Man, this is awesome. They get to stay in a hotel. You know, so this is awesome. But I'm not going to sit here and trash the National Guard. I'm not really going to do it. They're going to be the first set of centuries that Esau is going to be putting out. That Esau is putting out there. Like I said, they're not well trained. Their vehicles are crap, and they get the leftovers that big army might throw away, or the Scott, or maybe what they bring from overseas. Okay, which usually the vehicles that they have overseas, they usually don't bring them back over here because sand, dirt, and just wear and tear. They just take your tax money and go buy brand new ones. Okay, and they sell those, pennies to the dollar to these other nations. And I'm not going to go into that. I used to do logistics. I was a logistics officer in the military. I know how it works. But I'm not going to go into that. But let's talk about where we're at here right now. It says this is second Ezra 16, Psalm 68. It says, "For behold, the burning rod of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things often unto idol," which we know some of us are gonna we can get tried like that. We don't know which brother is going to get tried. I said it before. I said it again. Every brother that's doing lessons, has a channel, and is dedicating his life to serve how Bashim Shai, to serve the Mashiach and do what he has commanded us to do. You should have it in your mind that you could be you won the lottery. You could be that brother that's going to get thrown in the dungeon, man. Okay, it might not necessarily be an elder brother, and you could be you could be a low level brother, as people like to look at you, and he's a nobody in this ministry, and you might prevail, and then you could have a high level brother that's very popular, that doesn't prevail. Okay, and you could have that. It says, "And they that consent unto them shall be high in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot." Yeah, that's what I was saying. You could have a low level brother, no 4 or 5 scriptures, no much, you know. Um, the Lord put the spirit in them to stand their ground. They stand their ground, and then you can have a brother that is the shit amongst brothers, full, just like that. And you could have vice versa. That brother who's great among the brothers, man, he just go right through it, and he prevails just like how you would think that he would. Okay. And you could have the brother who's a nobody, full just like how you think he might. All right. So it could happen that way. And it says, for there should be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So it ain't only be the National Guard that's going to be oppressing Jakes or grabbing Jakes up and the ICE agents and stuff like that. But you're going to have these renegades or what you call those? Uh, well, like how Batman was. What was he called? I forgot what the word is. Um, but these are the people that take the law in their own hand and they want to be they kind of want to be like a police officer or a law enforcement officer, but they never went through the academy or went through the stuff like that. So they just want to just take they want to be serving justice, but not going through the right process. You see what I'm saying? You can have those people out there. As you already have people out there right now, masquerading as ICE agents and stuff like that, and getting a kick of being able to intimidate Jakes because they wouldn't come just natural and try to go, well, I think you should just get out of this country. That's because they can get knocked the fuck out. But if you have a phony badge and all that stuff, and especially a non-English speaking Jake, who isn't going to hard press your ass, they might, the fear of being incarcerated or being taken by this punk that's masquerading as an agent, you know, might get to them and they could be taken advantage of, and you having issues and those things that's going like that. And for you crackers that are doing that shit, y'all gonna fuck with the wrong doggone person and y'all gonna get jacked the fuck up. And because you're gonna have a Jake that's not gonna give a fuck whether you're gonna take him in or not. He just gonna all right, let's dance. All right, prove it. And then you're gonna be screaming, I'm not an agent, I'm not an agent, I'm not an agent. Please, as he stomp your guts out. And all willing, he continue to stomp your fucking guts out. All right. You deserve it. Lord, will he continue to stomp? Let me make it clear here. We're in war. Okay. It's a physical one too, but it's also a spiritual war. Okay. And that's gonna take place. And all you people that think you're gung ho for America, you're gonna find out as you scramble and try to dig a hole in the ground with your hands to try to hide. Okay. It ain't gonna go quite the way you think. All right. The city I read about the cities, being destroyed. I read about it earlier. Okay, that the cities are destroyed, and that's going to be you people destroying each other. People throw a Molotov cocktail, just smashing windows, just going crazy and ape shit. It ain't gonna be no military force or no foreign invasion. It's gonna be you damn uh you psychopathical, undisciplined Babylonians, you Egyptians, you Americans, you Idumeans, you Jakes, that are going to be out there destroying everything. And then there's not going to be anything. There ain't going to be no replacement. Once you destroy the stores and destroy the food supply, there's not going to be a replacement ever. If you see shit on the food, if you see scraps of food on the ground, you probably might want to pick that up and brush off the dust off it and eat it. That's not going to be probably all you can eat. All right. But it says, for there should be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They should be like madman sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. He's sending troops in 19 states, 19 cities. And that's going to expand more and more and more. But keep in mind, they're going to be your civilians masquerading as agents or just have that natural hatred that's going to be there to assist. Okay. And I brought it out where these Jakes are wearing that doggone monkey suit and, assisting Esau in the persecution and chasing Jakes. And if you might want to reconsider that. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. Okay? They are laughing at you. All right? Let's go to Zechariah. I haven't brought this up for a while. Zechariah 13. This is Zechariah 13 and starting verse 8. Because you have to you have to ponder when Yahweh Shemeshai said he's going to destroy 2/3 and bring 1/3 through the fire of adversity, you try to imagine exactly how that would be. Okay, it says, this is Zechariah 13, it says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai, two parts therein should be cut off and die, but the third should be left therein. That's already been written. Right now, we don't know if, I don't know myself personally if I'm part of the 2/3. I could be here doing this, but I could be part of the 2/3. So if that's the case, no matter what, as a part of the 2/3, I would be cut off and die. If I'm part of the 1/3, no matter what, here's what's going to happen. And I would bring the third part through the fire. Okay, and there's no actual like fire, but fire is symbolic of the troubles and tribulation. You would, if you can go through fire, you feel the heat, but then you don't get burned, but you still feel that heat. Okay, and it's not going to be very comfortable. So in order for Jason, they go through the fire, but they get consumed by the fire. The fire has to be hot enough to burn the flesh and consume them out of existence. All right. But if you feel in that heat, but you're not consumed by the fire, you still gonna feel that heat. That heat is gonna be hot. In other words, let me say it in a more simple way. We're gonna catch out. We're gonna be thirsty in some time. We're gonna have time when you're gonna be hungry. You're gonna feel forsaken. That's why it says that if the righteous scarcely be saved, man, we pissed off Yahweh Shemeshai so horribly. He's gonna wait till the very last second to pull us out of this place. The very last second. There might be some of us sitting here or standing here when those missiles are heading towards Great Babylon, America. Imagine you are preserved, you preserve the missile. And you might be sitting up there with that faith in your hand and you looking up at the sky is dark with all those missiles coming down. You can see them, all the trail, the smoke trail, millions of them just coming down. You know, some of them might hit the eastern side or the west side first. You might be in the middle part of the United States and the ground is shaking and stuff like that. And it's just this dreadful feeling. You're looking up and just like, I mean, you praying all you praying to Yahweh, get me out of here, get me, save me out of here like that. You know, because you right to the end to the missile part. You can see it now coming down. Scarcely be saved, man. And that's a scary thought. At that moment, you might be in disbelief and it's like, okay, you're gonna die, or you might just right to the very end like that. I'm so next thing you know, you're in the chariot, man. And that in itself is it's hard to even imagine what that's gonna be like because we're not gonna even be in these bodies. These bodies can't even go up there. So it ain't like you can be, you know, in these little sickly body we're in right now. How's that gonna feel, man? You in this powerful God body that doesn't die. Dude, I mean, that's gotta be something, man. And what is the inside of the chariot looks like? And then we get to see Yahweh Shai. And are there other people already in the chariot? There are gonna be other saints in the chariot? Do we see angels? And what do they look like? Like what do they actually really look like for real? I mean, yeah, of course they can look like people, right? I guess. But I mean, that in itself is a kind of like an imagination. You kind of go through like what would be the movie? Boy, what's that gonna be like? It's like when if you remember when you was like weak and then you lift weights and you get a little muscle, like you strong, like there's a difference in the feel. So imagine when we get those mighty God bodies, okay? But it says, and I will bring a third part to the fire and will refine them as silver is refined and try them as gold is tried. So you see, they shall call my name. So Yahweh Shemashah is going to put all of us through something in which we would have to call on his name. So that's the importance of the name, man. You have to know the name. And you have to call on it. Not think it. You have to actually call on it. There's no point in knowing the name if you're not going to call on the name. All right. And I will hear them. So see, he said, if you call, he's going to hear you. And that's comforting right there. Call on my name. Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai. And I will hear them. He's going to hear us. I said, hopefully not. I will say, it is my people, the 1/3. And they shall say, the Lord, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, is my power. And that's, we as a hopefully lack, that's what we got. And that's what we're counting on. And in the meantime, as you live in this worldly flesh and deal with temptations and anger and issues and fights and squabbles and stuff, and that's why how should I say, don't let any man take your crown, man. Don't let any man take your crown, because amongst us are people that are guys that should be brothers, but they're not. Creating strife, bullshit, man. And on that, that's just amongst us. So imagine out in the world. And some people can go right back into what was more comfortable. Because there's a hell of a lot of people out there ready to embrace you and say, yeah, see, we told you that was a cult. Look at them. A whole lot of people out there ready to embrace. That's how Satan works, man. Because what is it? The way of wickedness is very broad, okay, versus the way of righteousness is narrow. And it's easy to get caught up in some bullshit, man. Okay, so I'm gonna let's close it out. I don't want to make this. I'm not gonna make this too long, because we'll close it out with a little note right here. Something I want to talk about. Go into. Actually, let's go. Let's go to Psalms 91. I'd like to bring out Psalms 91 because this actually sits in my head a lot when I think about this. Just how horrible things are going to be, man. This is Psalms 91, Psalm verse 2. It reads, let's start with verse 1. It says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So we abide, we dwell in the secret places here. Our mind constantly is thinking about the heavenly kingdom, what's taking place here on this earth, how this man is going to come against us, how he has come against us, how he's going to come against us, the degree of judgment that each one of us is going to receive. And particularly, like the scriptures say, every man has a work of his own salvation with fear and trembling, and you teach your wife, your household, those who hear and forbear, guide them to the best of your ability. He says, I will say of the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, he's my refuge and my fortress, my power. In him will I trust, trust in Esau. We don't talk about the so-called white man just because we could say something or we're angry. It's a genuine hatred for his wickedness. It's we're an abomination to him. He's an abomination to us. He don't like us. And we don't like him. But he can't make a move on us unless the Lord Yahweh give him permission to. Remember, Satan had to ask for, or the devil had to ask for permission to to jack up Job. And the Lord Yahweh Shai was sure Job was going to be successful. Why? He made him. It's already, I don't want to say it's already a rigged game. So if Yahweh Shai said he's going to protect you, there's nobody that can do any doggone thing to you. But see, we ourselves don't know that. And that's the reason why, that's why this whole thing has to play out the way it is. Esau, if he had a guaranteed of destruction that he was going to, be destroyed, and that's a good lesson. If Esau knew he was guaranteed that he was going to be destroyed and how he was going to go into slavery and all of that, if he knew how that was going to play out, he probably wouldn't make no effort to do what he's doing right now. He would have already gone into obscurity and just given up. But he still has hope. He still has hope. All right. Even Esau is hopeful that somehow, maybe he can get that blessing. Maybe there could be some type of loophole, so to speak, where he can get it. It says, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that fly by day. So we have that protection. Certain moves that you make in life, the Lord Yahweh will have you make those moves, and you go down. You'd only realize that those moves you made was divine inspiration for a particular reason. Think about that. I want you to think about that, Jake. Take a look back into your life and some moves you made, or decisions you made, and how that changed. Maybe it was going to do something stupid, retarded. Maybe it was just something, and it changed for the better. And you go back, boy, I'm glad I didn't do the opposite or do the other thing I was thinking of doing. And a whole lot of other things. So every path that we took, even though it might have been rough, you might have experienced catch a lot of hell along the way and stuff like that. Eventually, it gets to the point to where it works out, somewhat, or works out. It says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh to thee. Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. So we got to prepare our minds and prepare ourselves to see the reward of the wicked. And hopefully, we're not numbered among the wicked to die a nigger's death. So that the righteous, because you would hate for a brother to walk by, and you die like a doggone nigger, man. You're on one side, you might be in that pot of 10,000, that pot of 1,000. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. So we're being guided by angels. There's a reason why sometimes you attempt to do something stupid and wonder why you just never carry it out. And I got a lot of examples of that, and I'm quite sure you brothers have examples of that. Somehow it got blocked, or whatever the case is like that. Certain things got blocked. Okay, and there was a reason for that. Okay, there was a reason for that. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy feet against a stone. Okay, so you're prevented from doing stupidness, because we're in this flesh, prone to wickedness, we're prone to doing shit and bullshit. We're prone to it. We can still do certain things, but the impact might not be to the level that if we had done certain other things where that impact would have been significant. Okay. It says, and that'll be it. And that'll be it. Okay. So the biggest thing here is I'm gonna close out here. And this is what we hope would take place, especially nowadays. nowadays, um, because we're seeing right now, we have this raging uh, beast on this earth right now. Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, and especially here in Great Bible America, where we are at ground zero. Now, I'll close over this. It says, this is Proverbs 16:7. It says, when a man's ways please the Lord Shai, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. And that is something we are going to need in these days and time. Keep in mind that we look exactly like the target. Okay, so-called blacks, Native Americans, Latino. And so we hope when we ever encounter Esau Sentry or these demons in these monkey suit costumes out there that, walking with being in wisdom, and hopefully, your ways is pleasing to the Lord, even though, we fall a lot and full of shit. Um, he doesn't have that century put you to death like a nigga. All right. So Lord willingly left us edified, and let the ghost of give him all glory, honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakakadash, Shabbat Shalom.